Hello, friends. This is Brandon K. Hedgepeth, and I want to welcome you all here to the Tansson Talks show. I'm just so excited to be here today. This is the third episode of the brand new show, continuing my time here in podcasting, and I'm just so excited to get into today's episode and continuing my mission to bring people together. But without further ado, let me go ahead and introduce you to my conversation with the amazing Nicole Steele. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Brandon. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be on the show.
Yeah, and I'm so glad to have you. And so, first of all, how are you doing here today?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing really well. Yeah, I'm just so excited that we were able to be here today and that timing worked out to be here.
Yeah, I'm happy to be able to connect.
Yeah, and so, first of all, are you able to go ahead and let us know a little bit about you before we get started here for today?
Yeah, I'm currently a junior at Biola University studying public relations with a double minor in communication and biblical theology. I'm also on the Public Relations Student Society of America's National Committee as their Vice President of Brand Engagement. And I just love being able to connect with people in all sorts of different ways. I love being able to build those relationships, and that's really what I'm passionate about.
Well, I'm so glad that that you're able to do that, and like you said, really do what you are passionate about. And so, I guess I'll actually start off by asking: so, when did you first sort of realize that this was your passion, that you wanted to get into public relations and especially brand engagement at that?
That's actually a funny story. It was totally just coincidental. I was actually a member of a branch of the Boy Scouts of America called Venturing. I'm still a member of it, but I joined when I was 14 years old, and I immediately got involved with leadership and just so happened to wind up in a communications role as my county's vice president of communications. And I just kept moving up the ranks until I eventually founded and became the editor-in-chief of their national publication. And just throughout all of that, I realized how much I really loved different communication tools. I got to work with emails, I got to talk to people in person, do social media, do newsletters, publications, all of that. And it was just so great being able to use those different communication strategies. And I realized that that was something I would love to pursue as, a profession. And from there, I ended up applying to Biola University with their public relations major. And, it's just been spiraling ever since.
Wow, that is so cool, and definitely really interesting that you that one position that you just happen to get really help spiral you into essentially where you are now. I mean that is such an interesting story to hear.
Yeah, it was just really cool, and watching everyone come together and support me, encourage me, and tell me that this was something that they really saw me thriving in, and helping me realize that that was where my passion and my capabilities came together to be a work calling. So it was definitely not just me. It was a lot of coincidences, and I think it was totally God's timing and just all the people around me supporting me to help me develop my passion for public relations.
Wow, that is really interesting, and I like how you mentioned that that was sort of a bit of God's calling too, and so for you, as you mentioned, that you are at a religious university, and so what's some of the role that that some of your beliefs have played within your path?
Honestly, I think that public relations and Christianity just work together hand in hand so beautifully. I think that there are a lot of values in public relations that, are really emphasized in the Bible. For example, telling the truth. We, as public relations professionals, are constantly trained to tell the truth and not just, some half truth, but really be authentic in our communication and not try and mislead people. It's not, oh, technically that's the truth. It's no, we want to be truth-telling professionals. And that's something that the Bible reiterates all the time is, thou shalt not lie, and all these other verses. And then there's also the building relationships. The Bible is constantly telling us to grow in fellowship, grow in community, support one another. Public relations is also great for being able to really help give a voice to the voiceless. We have these great platforms and we're able to advocate for different groups. And that's something that the Bible also talks about is, helping people who can't help themselves. And there are a lot of different verses for all of that, but I just think that really public relations can be such a God-honoring profession. And so that's really one of the reasons I feel called to serve in this position, is because I think that we can be using our platforms to really bring glory to God by serving his people.
I absolutely love that. And I completely agree with you. And I mean, that's one of the reasons that I enjoy being here, on this platform, the ones that came before. Is just I love hearing people's stories and being able to, to tell people about it, because people such as yourself are just doing such amazing things. And I want to be able to use my platform, my expertise to be able to help share that. I mean, because it's when you're able to have this sort of role and ability, it's you want to make the most of it and help the community and help those around you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I think that you opening with your mission is just such a great thing. And I totally agree with those values of your mission and your podcast. And I love the way that you're connecting people and telling other people's stories. So thank you for doing that.
Oh, yeah, of course. And thank you for everything that you're doing in your role. And so you mentioned, of course, that you are a vice president within the Public Relations Student Society of America, or PRSSA, just to keep it short, since we don't have too much time here per se. But how exactly did you get into your role, and are you able to tell us a little bit for those who may be unfamiliar? What is PRSSA?
Yeah, well, I'll start with your latter question on what is PRSSA. So the Public Relations Student Society of America is a branch of the Public Relations Society of America. And so what the Student Society is really emphasizing is developing ethical and exceptional public relations professionals. So we do that through providing students with resources on ways to be thriving in the public relations field. We connect them with a variety of different professionals, and we have a lot of different scholarships and awards and programs to really develop those students and encourage their growth and give them the resources to grow. And I love that mission. I think it's such a great one. And so I first got involved in PRSSA in my freshman year of college, which was in 2020. So it was online. And I didn't really know much about what it was, but my professor advocated for it. And I was like, hey, why not? I would love to get to know more people. I think those resources sound great. And so I joined without knowing much of what it was. And eventually I got to get involved with our on-campus firm. That was my second semester of college. And that's a PRSSA affiliated student firm. And so we got to really practice working with clients as professionals. And it was just such a cool opportunity to really be hands-on. And then from there, one of my professors actually reached out to me and she was like, hey, Nicole, I know this is a long shot, but there is the Public Relations Student Society of America National Committee their application is due in a week. How would you feel about running for national? And so, I thought about it for a little bit, but with there only being a week, it wasn't too much time to really think about it. And what I ultimately came to the conclusion was I would love to be able to just help support students and give back to the PRSSA community. And so I ended up running with a lot of support from my friends and professors at Biola. And, it's been a great term so far.
I'm glad to hear that. I mean, that you're having a great term thus far, and I like how everyone was so supportive of you, running for the position, and even with only a week's notice, that you were able to, I mean, turn around and make it happen. I know, like at least based off our conversation thus far, I'm sure that you would have like carefully planned everything out and and had everything ready, a whole process. But with only a week, I mean, just working to make the most of it.
It was a little bit of a hectic week trying to get all the different application parts together, but I don't regret it at all. I think I made the right decision for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And so prior to you running for the national committee, had you been in any sort of leadership position within your own chapter's PRSSA?
I had not been in a leadership position with the chapter at large. But like I said, we had that student run firm. And so I actually got to be the account director for our student firm, which I know every firm has different position titles and what they mean. So for us, that meant I was essentially a team lead. So I was the one in contact with one of our clients, and I managed a team to put together a campaign for them. And I also helped our directors acquire a new client.
Wow. And so out of curiosity, what type of clients did your campus firm, yeah, I guess cater to, or was it like a wide variety of people, organizations?
We No, that's a great question. We tried to have a variety of clients, but it was really focused on nonprofits because we were providing free services. And so we wanted to give back to those in the community who may not be able to focus on or who may not be able to fund having a public relations firm. One of the clients we did have, though, I don't think they're a nonprofit. I should probably be double checking that. But one of the clients that we did have that I was the one that was the account director for them for a period of time was the UCI Burn Center, the University of California Irvine Regional Burn Center. And so we got to really help them, especially because one of my professors' kids actually went to the UCI Burn Center when he was a young child. And so it was a personal connection where we got to help the UCI Burn Center.
Well, I'm glad for that, Professor, that was sort of able to be full circle in a sense and being able to help them out just like they helped them out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, I bet. And so during your time, as account manager, like how long did you spend in that position before going on to PRSSA's national committee?
I was actually only in that position for one semester, so I was a regular staff member for one semester, and then the following semester I was an account director, and then I took a semester where I was just a regular PRSSA member without any special titles or anything to really focus on. That was an especially hard semester. I think I was taking 20 units then, and our max is typically 18 at Biola. So, really just focusing on schooling. And then, so that was my gap semester, I guess you can call it, from PRSSA before applying to national. Except I was still involved in PRSSA, just not in a leadership position.
Oh, nevertheless, that was still like a rather quick succession. I mean, going straight from, a member to, a part of a sort of leadership-esque, role within everything to, to having your gap semester to, now you're doing stuff on the national level. I mean, that's a rather like short time span.
Well, it was fun, and you only have 4 years of college on average, so you got to make every moment worth it.
Yeah, that is completely true. And you mentioned a little bit earlier that you started college in 2020, as did I. And so for you, did that sort of change, I guess, the dynamics of how you wanted to start getting involved in college? Or did you already know like which organizations you wanted to reach out to before you even started? Or how was that process for you?
I think as with anyone who experienced any sort of schooling in 2020, it definitely did change the dynamics of how I got involved with the school. But honestly, I don't think it changed it that much. Like, I knew I wanted to be on the dance team. And so, technically I was on the dance team during that period. We just weren't in person. So it was a lot of Zoom training. And then I didn't know about PRSSA, but I think I would have joined no matter what. But I think really the bigger thing is how I connected with the students in my classes. And something that was so unique was, I know it's, such a joke about like, oh, when you were in a breakout room in Zoom, it was really awkward because nobody would talk. We would just stare at each other in a lot of different class breakout rooms. But what was really interesting was with the PR classes, when we had breakout rooms, everyone would just talk back and forth and really develop those relationships. And that really solidified the fact that I knew I was in the right major because everyone I was with just wanted to get to know each other. Even if it was on an online setting, it was different than every other like major really, was the fact that we were so eager, even in Zoom breakout rooms, as awkward as those are, to dive into conversation and get to know each other and build that community. And so even though it was a different way of connecting with people than I normally would have in person, it was still really cool having that online PR community so that when I got onto campus, I already had all of those friendships from the PR department developed, and I knew people going in, which really took off the stress of moving onto campus.
Wow, well, I'm so glad that it was supportive and that you were able to see like a little bit of a different dynamic, like between your more traditional classes, I'm sure like prerequisites, and then the PR ones that being a communication student, you definitely tend to be very engaging and interactive. And so, at what point did you actually move on to campus then?
I moved onto campus in fall of 2021.
Wow, so practically a whole year then online.
It was, yeah, a whole year online.
Wow, and so did you at least enjoy that year though?
I did. It was definitely not the way that I imagined my first year of college going. I don't know if I would choose to have an online freshman year if I had the opportunity to do it again at a different point in time. But I think that everything worked out the way it should have. I was still able to develop friends, like I said, online and in the neighborhood, or not the neighborhood, like my county nearby. Um, and I think it all worked out the way that it was supposed to. So I can't really complain too much.
That's good at least. And yeah, I certainly also believe that like everything sort of tends to work out in the way that it should, so to speak. And I'm glad that, you share a bit of that philosophy. And so going into everything though, so right now are you a junior then?
I am.
So how's junior year treating you so far? I know we're only a couple weeks into the spring 2023 semester. It's hard to believe it's 2023 already.
Mm-hmm. It's thrown a lot of twists and turns, and we're only in week 3. But it's been good so far. I've really been enjoying. I'm taking 2 different PR classes and a nonverbal communication class, and it's just really interesting to really dive into the things that I'm passionate about.
Wow. Yeah, I'm so glad that you are enjoying it. And yeah, nonverbal communication, or some refer to it as embodied communication. It's such an interesting like idea and concept. And so I started learning about some of that in my current grad classes as well. And it's such an interesting topic. So I hope you're able to get the most out of that course.
Sure, I'm hanging on to every word the professor says.
That's good to hear. And so going back to your current role though, how was it for you when you officially started off your role as a national vice president? And like, how was the initial coming on to that position, so to speak?
Yeah, honestly, it was a really good transition. PRSSA really did everything that they could to make that transition smooth from one national committee to the next. I think I started my role officially in either beginning of June or beginning of July. Can't exactly remember which one, but if anyone's curious, it's on my LinkedIn. You can go check it out. But so I met up with the national vice president of brand engagement from the previous year. via Zoom and got a lot of information from her, and she wrote down, a lot of different tasks that I can be doing and tips and stuff like that, which really made the transition so much easier. Really shows how organized PRSSA is. And then our national president was reaching out to us and trying to connect us with just the other vice presidents, as well as with her and everyone. As with any new position, it was obviously a little overwhelming at first to try and get used to the different lingo and what's expected and when each deadline is. But like I said, PRSSA really made the transition as seamless as possible. I think the hardest part was that I was in the middle of a vacation during the first week of us being the official new committee, which made having phone calls and stuff a little bit more challenging. But other than that, it went well.
Well, I'm glad to hear that it went well, and I'm glad that you were able to have a transitional period, so it wasn't like you were just going into a brand new position like in the dark, that you were able to learn from your predecessor and and really be able to like inherit the your new responsibilities and everything. And so, out of curiosity, well, first of all, I did go to your LinkedIn, so you do have June up there for the date.
There we go. June was my beginning date.
Yeah, and so, but for you all, because I'm sure each of the the different vice presidents and national president are like all throughout the country. Like I know you are in California, and and I'm sure all of the other vice presidents, I'm sure, are scattered all throughout the United States, and actually maybe even further than that.
We have one from Argentina.
And so, like, how was that for you all, like, communication-wise, and trying to get to know each other better if you all are all around the world?
Yeah. I don't think it's too different, actually, from just really any other mostly virtual organization. We obviously have to plan out our meetings ahead of time, and it is a little interesting because sometimes, you have someone who's calling a little bit later into the night than your typical work hour, or, well, honestly, they've been really good about the California time zone and not making us wake up too early for meetings. But it's been really fun getting to know people from just different parts of the world that I wouldn't normally get to connect with. And we've all been able to work really well together. It's just a lot of sending emails and texts back and forth. And of course, we have monthly meetings, but I think just having all that online communication at our fingertips has really just made things so much easier. It's crazy where the world's at communication wise and technology wise. But what really solidified our team dynamics, I think, was being able to attend ICON 2022 in November. And just getting to meet everyone in person. There's nothing quite like those in-person relationships. And so getting to know each other beyond just a professional setting, it was really cool getting to know each other on a more personal level, which of course makes communication a little bit more fluid.
I love the way that you worded that. And so was the PRSA, PRSSA / PRSA ICON 2022 trip the first time that all of you were able to meet in person?
It was. I had never met any of the other vice presidents or our president in person before then.
Wow. And so how was the experience for y'all? And I'm so glad I got to meet, you all, in passing as well. And so how was it for you all, though?
Honestly, I don't think it could have been a better ICON. It was just so much fun being able to finally see each other in person after so much time getting to work online. And just, I know like that first moment when we saw each other, it was a little weird because it's like, oh, people aren't the exact height I was expecting or whatever. But it was just so exciting to be able to connect and have conversations beyond when are you planning on completing this? Do you have any feedback? Just getting to know each other as people, and then also getting to know all the other attendees like yourself. It was just so cool seeing so many passionate PR professionals and pre-professionals in one room and getting to connect with each other and have our energy just bounce off of each other and our passion just really I don't know. I really feel like everything was developed in that space at ICON 2022. And so it was really cool just being able to connect with everyone.
That's so great that you all were able to, I mean, to have that moment and, yeah, I mean, really get together. And for those of you listening or viewing for this, so Icon is the organization's international conference. If you're wondering what we're referring to as for Icon,
A little bit of a important piece of information. Yeah, it's our biggest event of the year.
was this the first one that you got a chance to attend as a member?
It was. It was the first in-person Icon since 2019. And so most people in the room had never been to an Icon before then. And so no one really knew what to expect, but it definitely exceeded my expectations.
I'm so glad that that it really worked out for you all. And out of curiosity, between 2019 and 2022, were there any like virtual ones or any equivalencies, or was it just sort of not really an icon between those times?
You know, I don't want to give you the wrong information, so I'm going to refrain on answering that because I'm not 100% certain in my answer. But definitely nothing would compare to an in-person Icon.
For sure. And yeah, as a fellow communicator, I completely get the way that you just answered that, because I know a lot of times when people ask me questions, I don't want to give you the wrong information. So it's like I'm just not going to answer that for now, but if I figure it out, I'll get back to you.
For sure.
Yeah. It's like a part of that communicator lingo that it's always a part of us.
It's part of that truth telling. I want to make sure we're not spreading any misinformation.
And so now in your junior year, what are some things that you're really looking forward to going into your last year and a half of undergraduate education?
You know, I think I'm just looking forward to making the most of every moment that I have on campus. Really just diving into those relationships and making sure I'm intentional with the people around me, making sure in all of my PR classes that I'm, really taking in as much as I can and taking great notes so that I can apply all of that knowledge to my future profession. And with PRSSA, making sure that I'm taking advantage of all of the different networking opportunities during this last year. We have Champions for PRSSA, which is for all PRSSA members if they want to reach out to a few key professionals who have volunteered to be advocates and supporters of PRSSA members. Just being able to reach out to those champions as well as other PRSSA affiliated people. I just really want to make the most of all of those different connections and opportunities I have within this next year.
Yeah, I really like that you're working to do that, because I know even for me, before I even entered college, I was just trying to figure out like all of the different resources my university had, and I really wanted to sort of try to make the most of it, because it's like like you said at the beginning, you only have 4 years really to try to get the most of it. Yeah, to meet as many people as you can, make the connections of a lifetime, and everything. It's a lot of expectations for a very short period of time, and for some people, like even less, less than that. So it's just really trying to make the most of it. So I'm glad that you're striving to make that happen.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So out of curiosity, how long are you in your current vice president role?
I will be in this role until the end of the year. I think we're going to transition over to the next cabinet around June is when they'll be picking up we'll be sending off the next set of vice presidents on their own, but we'll be in contact with the vice presidents. We have a leadership assembly in April to pick out and elect new vice presidents and the next president. So the new National PRSSA committee. And from there, we'll be in contact with whoever's our successor and really equipping them for their position next year. But I think we're officially transitioning in June.
And out of curiosity, do you have any ambitions to continue, doing anything on the national level or in general, leadership wise, for PRSSA or any other organizations while you're in college or
No,
afterwards?
I've thought, no, totally. I've thought of my future with PRSSA a lot and given it a lot of hard thinking. And, nothing's fully off the table. However, at this point, I don't think I will be running for a vice president or president position for the next term, just simply because of time and making sure that I am able to really give 100% to everything I'm committed in. And I don't think it's fair for me to be in a role if I can't give 100% to that role. And I know I will be busy with other things next year. But I do know that whoever's in the positions next year will do an absolutely incredible job. As for other organizations I hope to be involved with throughout the rest of my college experience, I would love to do another internship and just get that hands-on experience, maybe with a firm, and see what agency life is about. And then I know this is not PR related at all, but I'm part of our campuses. We have this event called Mock Rock, where it's essentially a giant lip sync and dance battle. It's just our biggest event of the year, and it's really quirky, but really fun, really big deal. It's like 10 minutes of a performance. And so I'll be choreographing for that this semester, and then hopefully involved with it again next year.
That actually sounds really cool. And so have you been involved in it at all, prior to then?
Yeah, I was on the winning team last year. And then I didn't choreograph or anything. I was just one of the dancers. And then I'll be on it again this year. We have a team of 60 people, and it's super fun. I strongly believe that everyone, in addition to having an aspect of their life that really pushes them to grow, whether that's professionally or, education wise, it's also important to take time to just decompress and do something that's simply for fun. And that's really what Mock Rock provides me with.
I love that. Definitely keeping the balance in there of both, being productive and, having fun, making the most of your experience. I love that.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I'm glad to hear that you're definitely wishing your success for luck when you are transitioning out of your role. Although I know you still have plenty of time left, in your vice president position. But we'll definitely have to keep an eye out to see some of what you may do in the future, though.
Yeah, I'm as curious as you are.
Yeah, and I love the way that you said that you want to be able to give everything your all. I mean, that's definitely very admirable of you, because I know I was just doing some research a couple weeks ago and thinking about things. And anyway, all that's to say is that I always definitely believe that it's like you stay in a position long enough where that you're able to do what you can, do your best in the role, but also know sort of when to step aside and let someone else lead. It's definitely, like you said, always a harder decision to get to, but I'm glad that you're taking it in stride and that you are doing the best of what you can.
Absolutely. It's hard to say no to things, but it really is important for both our mental health and the quality of the work that we produce.
Absolutely. And so what are actually some of the initiatives that you're hoping to, I guess, work on or continue to do while within the next couple months of your being in the role?
Yeah. So one of the things that I really help manage is our blog. It's called Progressions, and we typically release 2 posts a week. And typically they're written by students, though that's not necessarily the only authors that we have. And it's really to provide students with resources and a platform to share their opinions on how the PR profession should be taking certain things in stride. And so I really hope to just continue that blog and just equipping students with those resources, and hopefully creating a more diverse content. That way students have just a variety of different resources. It's not hitting the same topics, but it really engages what students are interested in. I'm also managing the podcast. So if you guys would like to listen to another podcast, here's a shameless plug for PRSSA's podcast on Spotify and iTunes. And then I also work with PR Daily and another PRSSA vice president, and we help students get their voices and opinions heard to PR professionals by writing those blogs. So really my goal is to just continue all of that and really make sure that I'm hitting the topics that are interesting to our audiences and just knowing what my audience is interested in and wants to hear more about and what's helpful for them. And so just continuing all of that.
That's great to hear that you all are working on so many great initiatives. And I definitely, of course, will listen to some of the PRSSA podcasts after this because I definitely want to tune in. And I always love supporting. So
great. I'm happy to have one more supporter.
Yeah, and so going into as we're gradually wrapping up this interview, first of all, I did want to say, of course, it's been so great, getting to speak with you thus far and to, get to know you better. Because I know, we briefly had a chance to meet and interact back during the PRSSA Icon event back in November. But it's great to, to really follow up and to, just chat about, everything, especially everything ranging from your passions to your current position and everything in between. I mean, it's just been such an honor speaking with you so far.
Well, thank you. It's been great getting to reconnect with you, and I'm just super excited to have this opportunity. So thank you.
Oh, yeah, of course. And so something I did want to ask you, so when you are finished with your undergraduate degree, what are the next plans for you going forward? Like, do you have any particular direction that you want to head into?
It really is open to where God leads me because there's so many different parts of PR that I'm really passionate about. But as of right now, the plan, not necessarily saying that we'll stick to it, but the plan is to work at a PR firm for a couple of years and really build up that experience with a variety of different clients and see where exactly my passions fall. I think I have certain areas that I'm more drawn to than others, but really seeing what that looks like in practice. And then from there, moving into an in-house organization. And I don't know specifically what industry I would want to work in, but I do know that it really matters to me that I'm working with an organization that does good for people somehow, whether that's just innately in their purpose of being an organization, like if they're a homeless shelter versus just something as simple as having a sustainable mission. Whatever that is, I just want to make sure that I'm passionate about that mission of the organization. And then, on the side, it might be fun to adjunct teach or something, but the whole after the firm life will be a little bit more up in the air.
I always find it admirable whenever, throughout this that you have mentioned that you're definitely, here for the community and here to help serve. And I just absolutely love that. And I'm glad to hear that that will be continuing with you, throughout your college graduate life.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, of course. And so I did want to ask you, though, so is there anything that we didn't have a chance to discuss that you really wanted to discuss, or anything that people don't really know much about you for?
I don't think so. I think you've asked great questions, but if there's ever any other questions that anyone has about me, they're welcome to reach out to me via LinkedIn, or any questions about any opinions I hold or whatever that is. My door is always open.
That's great to hear. And so I guess that leads into asking, so if anyone would like to follow you online or anything of that sort, or get to continue hearing your story, what are the best places to, I guess, find you online?
Yeah, I think the best place is LinkedIn. You can find me, Nicole Steele, that's Steele. I think my URL is Nicole Steele 123 to make things simple. So yeah, just feel free to connect.
Well, I'm so glad to hear it. But before I let you go, I did want to ask you this one last thing, and that is for anyone who is watching or listening that is looking for some inspiration, perhaps even, are looking up to this as potentially maybe a direction that they want to go, or anything of the sorts. what is something that you want to say to those people listening?
You know, there's so much advice people are going to get in life. And so I was really trying to think. I know you sent some of the questions beforehand, and I was really trying to think what are, inspirational lessons or quotes or whatever. And there's so many great ones, but one that really stuck out to me was reading Proverbs 18:21. The tongue has the power of life and death. And I think people can really read into that however they want, but the tongue has the power of life and death. And I think that's very powerful.
I absolutely love that. Thank you so much, Nicole, for being here, for taking your time out to speak with me. And yeah, it's been so great. And yeah, I really appreciate this.
Of course. Thank you so much, Brandon, for hosting. And I wish you the best of luck with all of your future endeavors.
Thank you so much, and likewise. Yeah, it's very much appreciated, and I'm glad that you were able to, virtually, tune in to be here from California. I mean, we're on completely different coasts, and so I'm glad modern technology is allowing for us to do our Virginia to California chat here.
I know, it's awesome.
Yeah, it really is. Well, I really hope that you have a great rest of your week and finish out your time this semester and in your role strong, because I know that you'll enter the next chapter confident.
Thank you.
Yeah, for those of you watching and listening, thank you all so much as always for listening and tuning in. And I just hope that you all took as much from this as I did. And until next time, have a great rest of your day, and let's make things happen. I'll see y'all later. Take care. Are you interested in having your own podcast station? Well, be sure to check out our sponsor, Podpage, for all of your podcasting needs to help promote your podcasting journey.